Welcome to another episode of You Gonna Learn Today. I wasn't gonna say anything, but then I said to myself, Dr. Norma, that's part of the problem. We don't say nearly enough. We've got to communicate that asking someone to stop using a credential that they earned is insulting. What I'm talking about is the op-ed writer who asked Dr. Jill Biden to stop using her title, Dr. Biden, because she's not a medical doctor. That's a microaggression, a gendered microaggression to be exact, a slight or indignity on the basis of Dr. Jill Biden's gender. First, to the op-ed writer. Let's take a look at this linguistically and historically. The term doctor comes from the Latin word docere, which means to teach. It was a term used in the 13th century to refer to university professors, eminent scholars. It wasn't until the 17th century that medical practitioners appropriated this term. Do your homework, bruh. We've got to give credit where credit is due. Usually PhDs and EDs spend considerable time, 4 to 5, 6, 7 years, taking courses, doing a research project, writing a dissertation, defending a dissertation. And it's important to recognize that accomplishment. Most of us don't use titles outside of our professional work settings, but it's important to acknowledge it if the person recognizes that. This particular op-ed resonated with me because it reminded me of my first years as a university professor, probably 22, 23 years ago, when students who were, some of whom were probably not much younger than me, couldn't understand why they should address me as doctor. That was a microaggression too. They didn't go down the hall and ask the gray-hairs whether they could refer to them by their first names. Historically, in the African American community, not calling us by our names, boy, girl, was an effort to diminish us, to dehumanize us, to put us in our place. For many of us, our accomplishments represent the sacrifices of the community, the hopes and dreams of the community, the prayers, the ambitions. And that sort of reminds me of one of my favorite books, In Search of Our Mother's Garden, by Alice Walker. And in the title essay, In Search of Our Mother's Garden, she notes that many of us are the embodiment of the dreams that never materialized for some of our mothers, grandmothers, great-grandmothers, because certain opportunity structures weren't present. And so with that, I want to recognize some of the people that were instrumental for my journey, some brother and sister doctors, African Americans who helped me along the way. I'd like to thank for my undergraduate institution, Dr. Trudia Harris, Dr. Lee Green, Dr. Blyden Jackson, Dr. Sonia Stone. For my doctoral program, I'd like to thank Dr. Herbert Exum, Dr. Lawrence Clark, Dr. Tracy Robinson Wood, Dr. Craig Brookins. In my first faculty appointments, I'd like to thank Dr. Jim Patton, Dr. Brenda Williams, Dr. Beverly Bunch Lyons. I'd like to thank my twin sister, Dr. Beth Day Hairston. I'd also like to thank some other women who were really instrumental in my journey. Dr. Cheryl Holcomb McCoy, Dr. Julia Bryan, Dr. Cheryl Moore Thomas, Dr. Colleen Barnes, Dr. Ann Charity Hudley. And so I'd like to leave you with an African proverb that says, I am because we are, and because we are, therefore I am. Thank you for attending another session of You Gonna Learn Today.